Okay, good evening, friends. So, in the last two classes, we discussed about various diseases caused by fungi, bacteria, viruses, and mycoplasma. Especially in yesterday's class, we discussed about the important diseases of bacteria, uh, viruses, and mycoplasma diseases. And in today's class, we'll discuss about what are the important pests of rice, and what are the other important pests that are causing heavy loss on in storage areas, especially in godowns. And we'll also discuss about various parasitic plants. So, uh, briefly recapitulate what we learned in yesterday's class. Yesterday we discussed about the important bacterial diseases. You know, we discussed about diseases caused by fungi on important staple food, that is rice. Now, rice being the staple food of more than 50% of the world population. Hence, we concentrate on important diseases of rice, that is fungal diseases, bacterial diseases, and viral diseases that are very common on rice. So we discussed about blast of rice. Of course, blast disease is caused by both fungi and bacteria. We discussed in yesterday's class the bacterial blast, that is Xanthomonas oryzae, that causes blast of rice. And here, the bacterial diseases differ from fungal diseases, because here the symptoms, the common symptom will be the proteolytic, lipolytic enzyme secretions result in the formation of oozing of liquid. From the diseased parts, you will see oozing of the liquid as a gummy oozing of the liquid. And this liquid in due course gets dried up. So on the infected leaves, you will see small drops. Initially, they are translucent or white in color, but later on they become yellowish in color. And if you take the drop and observe under microscope, you will be able to see hundreds and thousands of bacteria. So generally, the bacterial diseases, you will see the gum-like material oozing, and it also gives you, what we call foul smell. So with this foul smell and droppy oozing material indicates that the disease is caused by a bacteria. So we discussed two important bacterial diseases on our important food crops. One is blast of rice. We also discussed about the citrus canker. In case of citrus members, in Rotaceae members, citrus lemon, in common, that is what we call nimmakaya. On that, you will see the canker disease. The canker we have I discussed in detail yesterday. So here the cankers, the raised parts, the corky structure, the cork necrotic lesions covered by living tissue, and these lesions raised warty structures are found not only on leaves but also on the young stems, or even on the trunk, and even on the fruits. So thereby, farmers are put to a great loss. So loss is not only in terms of quality, but also in terms of quantity. And we also discussed about mycoplasmal diseases. Mycoplasma are considered as the smallest organisms. They differ from a bacteria in lacking the cell. And this mycoplasma causes n number of diseases. There are more than 80 diseases are known caused by the mycoplasma, and they produce peculiar symptoms, especially the phyllodes. The phyllodes which is very common in case of Sysamum indicum, nuvul, what we call. So in till or um, uh, Sysamum, the floral parts, especially the stamens and the stigmas, and even the calyx and other parts, are induced to get themselves converted into what we call leafy structures. So as the inflorescence turns into leafy structure, hence the name phyllodes, leaf-like. This is the one of the important diseases caused by a mycoplasma. The other is Santalum spike. Santalum, in case of Santalum, album, what we call Gandham. And in this, the infected plant, uh, it checks, it arrests its growth, leaves become very small, internodes become very small, and ultimately the branch of the main stem turns into what we call a wiry structure, a wiry structure or a spike-like structure. Hence the name spike, Santalum spike disease. And the other important disease we discussed yesterday was, grassy shoot of, in case of sugarcane, you will find only one sugarcane. This is the stem. Important part is the stem, and the stem you find, nodes and internodes. In that you will see sugarcane juice, of course, which is rich in sucrose. From that we make what we call jaggery and sugar. Now, if the plant infected by a mycoplasma, now you will see bunch of tillers arising from the base of the sugarcane, and the entire, becomes as if the cane, becomes small and finger-like without any juice, and you will see bunch of tillers coming from the base. So farmers are put to great loss because of this. So as the infected plant looks grass-like, hence it is called grassy shoot of sugarcane. So these were the important diseases. And apart from that, we also discussed about, little leaf of brinjal, especially in case of brinjal, the infected, if not only, brinjal, but even many other Solanaceae members are also known to be infected by the mycoplasma. And the infected, brinjal, the leaves are very big, and they have what we call spines, spines. But if the plant gets infected by this mycoplasma, the leaves become very small, and they become glabrous, and they don't have any what we call spines. Spines are absent there. And the not only leaves become small, even the fruit formation may fail, even if they are formed, they are of very small size, and instead of juicy nature, they become corky, no juice. So fruits are not fit for consumption. So this is how farmers are put to great loss, even in case of little leaf of brinjal. Now, apart from that, we also discussed about what we call, in case of, cotton. Cotton, of course, I told you about the economic importance of cotton. And cotton also infected by the pests. So far we discussed about diseases caused by, bacteria, viruses, mycoplasma, and fungi. Now we are slowly shifting to insects. So insects are also known to cause heavy loss to the farmer. So even the cotton being what we call a cash crop, which is mostly grown for cash. Hence, they are called cash crops. And the cotton crop suffers from with the attack of insects. There are two important insects that cause heavy loss in case of cotton, and the cotton pests. Of course, a good number of pests are there. See, to name them, there are more than 30, 40 pests are known to infect cotton. Of them, for example, fruit borer is there, pink worm borer is there, and spotted bollworm, and cotton stem weevil is there, and stem borer, leaf roller, and tobacco cutworm is there, leaf hopper, jassids are there, aphids are there, thrips are there, whiteflies are there. So there are various types of pests are known to attack the cotton. But of course, in syllabus, we concentrate only on two important pests of cotton. One is tobacco cutworm. This is otherwise known as Spodoptera litura. Spodoptera litura is tobacco cutworm. Here, the adult, the adults. Say in case of pests, you find adults lay eggs. From that you get caterpillar, grubs, and these grubs cause a lot of damage. They are voracious eaters. They eat away all the leaf parts, leaving only the veins. Veins remain in the form of a skeleton. So entire green moss is eaten away by the hopper. So cotton leaf hopper eats away the entire green parts. They not only eat even leaves, but even the tender stems. Later on, they also eat your flower buds, even flowers. Later on, even they also make an entry into what we call cotton balls. Capsules are the balls inside which cotton is produced. So when the infestation occurs at early stage, the cotton growth gets affected and the leaves are eaten away. And these eaten away leaves, they fall. Even there is a shedding of premature shedding of cotton balls. So that way, farmers are put to great loss. So Spodoptera litura is what we call, tobacco cutworm that causes a lot of damage. So what we have to do? So here, the adult one is the adult one is what we call a flyer. It has wings. It has two pairs of wings, fore wings and hind wings, and they have fore wings. They are brown and having what we call white margin, and the hind wings are brown and they have white margins. And these these adult ones lay eggs, large number of eggs on the lower side of the leaves. And these eggs, within a span of 1 week or 10 days, they mature into what we call, young ones, grubs, or the caterpillar. These caterpillars, they move in association with one another, and they, especially in the early mornings and during the nights, they feed on the leaves where the eggs are hatched. And later on, after eating away these leaves, they make an entry into the young shoot pods. Later on, they make an entry into cotton balls. So that is how, the tobacco cutworm is known to cause a lot of damage. So now the other is aphid. The aphid that causes great loss is what we call sucking. This is a sucker. Sucking pest, that is cotton aphid. Apis gossypii is there. And unlike your tobacco cutworm, these adult ones, they don't lay eggs. And they have the characteristic feature of what we call, they are viviparous. They produce the young ones. And also here they produce what we call by parthenogenetically. Even without the meeting of male and female, they are able to produce the young ones. These young ones, they are gregarious and they feed voraciously on the leaves and also on the flowers, even on the bark. Especially this causes a lot of damage, make the young one, caterpillar, making an entry into the cotton ball. They eats away the milky and the cotton. So you will see empty cotton, and even that will not remain on the plant for long, they are shed. So that way, it also causes heavy loss. So now how to check them, because the thing is, pheromones. Pheromones means they, sex pheromones, what we call. They mimic, like they emit certain chemicals, and the adult ones looking for the mates, the looking as if it is a male or a female, it comes and gets trapped on the pheromone stickers. And also you can erect what we call certain, uh, uh, sticky structures uh, in the field or on the bunds areas, where especially you can raise what we call fire during the um, night times. So the flyers, the adult ones, get attracted to the fire and they get themselves killed. So the best way is to keep your field very clean and going for what we call crop rotation, and also making treating the seed treatment. These are some of the cultural, mechanical, and the final one, what you have to do, spraying chemicals. See, the chemical control has to be done as a last resort, because with the indiscriminate use of these chemicals, the environment is getting spoiled, your water is getting spoiled, your air is getting spoiled. Even when you spray, you are spraying your chemical not only in one field, and these chemicals get carried away by the blowing winds, and even they fall on the food crops. So thereby they make an entry into our system. So it leads to what we call biological magnification. That is how the environment, the animals, including human being, get affected. So you will see a lot of deposition of these chemicals in our body. Thereby, we are prone for so many diseases. So this is what we learned yesterday. And in today's class, we move fast. We discuss about first importance of paddy. So paddy, as you know, I told you, paddy is the most important crop, food crop for the world population, because India, China, and Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia, Japan, these are the countries where the paddy cultivation is taken up on a large scale. And because this is important for you, in examination, they may ask you what are the rice growing areas, what are the important varieties of the rice, and what are the common pests you encounter on uh, paddy. The questions will be like that. So paddy, we have paddy is the crop that has maximum number of varieties. So more than 10,000 varieties of paddy are known, and there are two important institutes in India. We have in an Central Rice Research Institute at Cuttack, and in on the international level, International Rice Research Institute at Philippines. These are the nodal research institutions where the germplasm of various thousands of rice varieties are kept, and they are being used in developing high yielding varieties or disease resistant varieties. Now, there are two important varieties, rice, one is short statured, sticky ones, short grain, sticky ones. And generally, we don't prefer in India, especially this is what we call Japonica types, or in Javanica types, Indonesia and Japan areas, where they prefer taking the small grain and sticky ones. But in India, especially in South India, we go for long grain and non-sticky varieties. In rice, based on their color, some are white, some are brown, some are black, and some are scented, basmati. So a number of varieties of rice is available in India, but in South India, we prefer this long and non-sticky varieties. Now, apart from why do we prefer, of course, because our conditions, South Indian conditions, are congenial for raising rice. Hence, we grow on a large tracts of fields. Our farmers take up this rice cultivation. So apart from giving grain, paddy, the other things we get from the paddy include the fodder. The fodder, and that will be used as a fodder for the cattle, And also that can be used in making ropes and thatching, houses, and even making what we call the cartons, what we call cartons. And after milling, whatever the husk you get, that husk will be used in what we call in uh, brick making kilns that is used. And nowadays, even we are getting what we call rice bran oil. Rice bran oil, very, very rich. And even doctors advise us to go for, rice bran oil. So the rice, as you know, it is rich in carbohydrate. Apart from that, rice has good amount of proteins we have, and we have minerals, especially minerals we have, and also amino acids are there. So because of that, it forms the staple food for more than 50% of the world population. Now we move to, common important pests. The important pests of, paddy. Now here, the green leaf hopper is there, paddy stem borer is there, and leaf folder is there, swarming caterpillar is there, and grasshopper is there, rice skipper is there, spiny beetle is there, mealybug is there, thrips are there. So many number of pests. So rice not only suffers from the fungal, bacterial, viral pathogens, but rice crop also suffers with the attack of various pests. So, though there are more than 20 types of, insects pests that are commonly found on the standing crops and also in the storage areas, in our syllabus we confine ourselves only to two important, pests. One is green leaf hopper. This is what we call Nephotetics virescens. While discussing about Tungro virus, I told you, Tungro virus here, the culprit that responsible for spreading of the virus is what we call Nephotetics virescens, and this is what we call green leaf hopper. It sucks, when it sucks, when it sucks juice from the Tungro virus affected, crops, when it makes a visit, when it moves, when it flies away, when it feeds on other healthy crops. So the viruses being very, very small and ultra microscopic, they get transmitted. So the main transmitter of this Tungro virus is Nephotetics virescens. This is other common name is what we call green leaf hopper. The other is the paddy stem borer. So coming to the first one, that is the green leaf hopper. Now the green leaf hoppers, as the name indicates, it's a small, adult one is very small, and it is greenish in color. It has wings, and it is green color, and we having black spots. And the nymphs, the young ones are yellowish green in color, and they are the voracious feeders. They cause a lot of damage. And uh, based on uh, the period at which the crop gets infested with this pest, the loss varies. So in some cases, if your young seedlings, soon after transplantation, if your field gets infested by this green leaf hopper, you suffer a lot. Farmer suffers a lot. So here, the these adults, even after harvest, see generally what farmers do, because they prefer the heads, so they cut it. So nowadays, by using by mechanization, etc., what we are doing, we are cutting. We are not because of the shortage of laborers. We are employing tractors. So tractors cut only half away. So leaving stubules. So because of that, if you do not remove the stubules properly, the nymphs and the eggs of adults, they remain in the field, and they also overwinter and over summer on the alternate hosts that are present on the hedges, on the bunds, on the channels, and also in the stubules, and that form the inoculum for the next crop. So the best way to check the menace of this green leafhopper is to keep your field very clean and cut your crop up to the ground level, and soon after that you plow it, make it deep plow, and all the leaves and other remnants, stubules, etc., they are to be burnt away, or they are to be buried in the soil. So see that your field is very very clean. So this is how you can check the green leafhopper menace in uh, rice fields. So here uh, the how to check, generally we you can check by by erecting certain fly trappers you can do. And generally the cultural practices is going for what we call crop rotation, and other is uh, deep ploughing and exposing your field to the hot sun, especially this is the season. And the other is here uh, what we do is generally uh, the alternate hosts, grasses, etc., they are to be removed. And the last resort should be going for spraying of insecticides. Spraying for insecticides, especially you can go for what we call, so many insecticides are there, and they can be, for example, monocrotophos, dichlorovas, etc. are there. You can go for the spraying of them, so that uh, the uh, young ones and even the fly or the leafhoppers get killed. And the best thing is to go for what we call the pest resistant varieties. The important pest resistant varieties identified IR8, IR36, and what we call TN1, IR22 are the ones that are found to be quite resistant for uh, the greenhopper menace in rice fields. And of course, nowadays, what we are doing, farmers are advised to go for, environmentally friendly insecticides. Especially, farmers are advised to spray what we call neem cake or neem oil, etc., or to be sprayed. And the other insect is what we call paddy stem borer. Paddy stem borer is the another. This is otherwise called yellow stem borer, and this is Syrpophaga incertularis. It is the scientific name of the paddy stem borer. As the name tells you, the insect, especially the young ones, caterpillars, grubs, they make a deep hole into the stem. They make a deep hole into the stem, and there they lay eggs, and they check the transport of minerals and water. So thereby the center part of the stem gets affected, and the center part, the tissue gets died. Hence, the disease, it leads to what we call dead heart. Heart means center part, dead heart. So with the entry of the grubs deep into the stem, the conducting tissue, that is your xylem and phloem, gets affected, and that gets, that part gets blockened, and the upper areas fail to receive the minerals and water. Hence, it leads to the death of the central tissue. Hence, it is called dead heart. And the dead heart plant, if it enters into a flowering stage later on, even the flower, of course, the panicle may be there, but the seeds, they are choppy, half-filled, or unfilled, and they lose their color, and instead of straw color, they exhibit what we call white nature. Hence, it is called white ear disease. So, because of the stem borer attack, the crop suffers from dead heart disease and also white ear disease. And here also, the best way is various cultural practices such as ploughing, crop rotation, early sowing, and uh, early transplantation, and even in transplantation also see that they are properly separated. The air exchange should be there. They are not very closely transplanted. You have to read at regular intervals. You go for transplantation so that air exchange will be there. So even flies will not be in a position to lay more number of eggs and give rise to more number of what we call young ones. So proper spacing has to be there. And here also to check them, what we have to do, set up what we call light traps, and also what we call uh, fires on the bunds, etc. And also biological control. Of course, nowadays this is the recent method, economically friendly, wherein egg parasitoids. So by growing, uh, by inoculating with certain antagonistic uh, animals. Animals means here certain fungal members, especially Trichogramma japonicum, fungus. Fungal spores are released so that they cause diseases on grapes. Thereby, you can check the menace of the grapes. Thereby, you can protect your crop. So this is what we call a biological control. Of course, chemical control, of course, we go for, spraying of so many, for example, monocrotophos, you can spray, and also other dichlorovas, you can say spray, and phenolphos, you can also spray. Thereby, you can check the menace of the uh, paddy stem borer. Then we move to what we call storage pests. Storage pests, you will be surprised, you'll be surprised to know that the loss the farmer suffers are on the whole, from the producer to the consumer level, a big chain is there. So during the transport, from moving from one stage to the other stage, when your produce reaches the ultimate dependent, that is the consumer, the loss could be ranging from 30 to 40% loss will be there. And of course, nowadays, in the loss, in terms of cooked food, is very large. So here, the loss in the chain starting from your harvest. So if you do not go for harvest at a right time, or if there is an inclement weather, for example, if the weather is like this, when there are gust of winds are there, when untimely rains are there, there is every possibility for the lodging of the crop. When lodging is nothing but a falling of the crop. So that leads to damage, heavy shedding of seeds. That is how a farmer suffers. And the second one is while winnowing and while sacking and while drying, and then while transportation also a bit is lost, and the most loss will be during the storage. Storage, in godowns, if you do not follow proper precautions, the loss could be heavy. This is a common thing. Even in your homes, you might have seen. If you buy, these rice or wheat, or even, for example, even flour also, for example, chapati making flour, it could be rice flour or wheat flour, etc. If you buy them on large scale, and if you do not take proper precautions, so the storage areas, that is your drums, your sachets, they have to be checked at regular intervals. If you find, these flies or grab young ones, and
Sir,
immediately you have to do, you have to expose them to.
sir, what is the chapter name?
Hello,
Hello, sir, what is the chapter name?
what is
What is the chapter name which you are teaching?
chapter? This is see, this is the third class, and we are dealing with the unit 5 and 6 in today's class.
Carbon assimilation pathways, translocation of solutes.
Huh?
Carbon assimilation pathways.
No, 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 no. This is elective. This is not
Okay.
core.
Cadian storage pests, angiospermic
Plant,
parasitic.
we are dealing with plant disease management.
That is Padian storage pest, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So
thank you.
in yesterday and the day before yesterday, we discussed about various fungal diseases. Fungal disease one, fungal disease two. We in yesterday's class, I dealt with bacterial, viral, mycoplasmal diseases and also cotton pests. And today's class, we are covering paddy, importance of paddy and important paddy storage pests, and also angiospermic parasitic plants. Okay, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. So we suffer, a lot. If you do not take proper precaution, there is every possibility for heavy loss in your storage times. So you will see this is a common thing I told you. Your pulses, pulses, say green gram, black gram, or chena, etc. If you buy them on large scale, if you do not take proper precaution, in 1 or 2 months, you will see the infestation by these pests. So you will see the adult ones flying in your house and the young ones, grubs, they cause a lot of damage. They make an entry into the, wheat or even rice or especially the pulses. They make an entry, and after making an entry, what they do, they plug. They plug with after they lay egg, and it will be plugged, and after within a week, the egg hatches into an young one, and the young one comes out, and the young one feeds. In due course, if you observe that, you will see only floor powder, పిండి అంటాం మనం, మొత్తం పిండి అయిపోతాయి మనం. So you will see complete floor. So and this way the loss is very very heavy. So we have to check this loss by taking, the godowns are to be cleaned, the godowns are to be fumigated, they are to be fumigated, and before storing them, either in the tins or in the sachets, etc. You have to fumigate it. You put, nowadays, instead of going for chemicals, you are advised to put what we call neem leaves. They act as what we call insect repellents. Neem oil you can use. So that is how you can check the spoilage to a great extent. Now, the other thing is to check the spoilage, what we have to do, processing has to be done. The processing has to be done. So the processing industry is very, very weak in India. In case of China and America, etc., the processing accounts for some 30 to 40% processing. But in India, the processing is very less. It accounts only for 2 to 5%. So because of this less processing uh, tactics, we are losing heavily. See, what do you mean by processing? For example, if your produce comes, they have to be properly, preservation and value addition. For example, tomato is there. If, for example, now mangoes are there. What do you do? So its shelf life is very less. The best way is they have to be preserved. Of course, you cannot preserve them for long. So the best way is to take out juice, mango juice. And by adding certain preservatives, you can store them for longer time. For example, tomatoes are there. Nowadays, tomatoes are available at 10, 15 rupees. At times, the cost will be around 50 rupees. So the thing is, you can preserve in the form of what we call pickle, or in the form of what we call, sauce, etc. So this is how you can preserve, you can enhance the preservatives, and thereby you can enhance the shelf life. So this is an agro-based industry nowadays. So hence the government of India and the state governments are taking up this, and especially the agricultural universities and agricultural scientists are encouraging the scientists, encouraging the farmers to know. They also give training. Regular training will be there, and they will tell you what are the precautions that are to be taken at every stage. That is from sowing to harvesting, after harvesting, sacking and shifting to godowns, then taking to mills, then to the sellers, then to ultimately to the buyer, and in the buyer, you and me, consumers, we ultimately we to take precautions so that you can check the spoilage. The spoilage has to be checked a lot. So in case of rice, storage space, we have only two, three important ones are there. One is rice weevil is there. And this, as the name tells you, rice weevil, it causes, it infests rice, wheat, maize, jowar, and paddy. And generally, the rice weevil, if it is found just by, if you open the tin in which you have stored, if you observe, if you put your hand also, you can see warmth. This warmth tells you that it is attacked by rice weevil. So this, what we call heating, this heating is because of the heavy infestation by the grubs or the caterpillars, not grubs, small translucent ones, young ones, and they are whitish in color, and their snout will be, chocolate color or brownish in color. They cause a lot of damage to our stored products. So the other is rice moth is there, and the rice moth, here as the moth tells you, moth means flyer. So it lays eggs, and these eggs, in due course, they hatch into small grubs, and they cause a lot of damage. So here, the damage will be large. The damage will be, many ways. That is, weight loss will be there. That is, for example, if a grain is there, if it makes holes, weight gets lost. Common thing you might have seen. For example, your green gram, black gram, or chana dal, etc. If they are infested with the, the pests, you will see holes. And if you put them in water, they float. Then the general filled ones will they sink. But because of the holes, they float, because whatever the content that is there, that has been eaten away by the young ones. So weight loss will be there, and visibility. If you go to any shop, do you buy this old ones? No. Weight loss will be there, and viability loss. So even the farmers are advised not to sow the old ones or infested ones, because viability gets lost. The whatever the embryo that is there, embryo gets affected. So it fails to germinate. And the other is commercial value. The commercial value is lost. And not only that, even consumer preference will be lost, and even the nutritional loss will also be there. So we lose a lot because of taking not important precautions while storing. We lose or we suffer heavily. So hence we should take various measures while storing. And the other is copra beetle is there, and generally it also affects wheat, maize, jowar, and other pulses and oil seeds. And generally the adult ones, the adults are reddish brown in color, and they have convex oval shape is there, and they have a distinct head will be there. And generally the young ones, the grubs, what we call the grubs, are, see, damage caused by the grubs is more than the adult ones. Adult ones, they lay eggs and they hatch into grubs, and the grubs are the voracious feeder. They feed a lot, and not only by feeding, even the grubs, they excrete certain chemicals. They excrete their excretas. With the excretas, the excretas entangle and you will see ball formations. The infested one, all the grains get united. They get sticky and balls formation will be there. Thereby, the entire produce gets spoiled. It becomes unfit for consumption. So these are some of the important pests, and the other is red floor, red floor beetle or the floor beetle. This is a common thing, in floor, what we call, it could be your rice flour or wheat flour or maize flour, etc. If you do not take proper precaution, the flour gets infested with this red flour and it damages its excretas. Its excretas have what we call a foul smell, and they excrete certain sticky substances. With that, your produce becomes ball-like structure and foul smell will be emitted, and the produce becomes unfit for consumption. So these are the important pests that you commonly encounter in the important staple produce that is our rice. Now we move to the important another very, as far as your examination is concerned, this is very important, that is angiospermic parasites. This is very important. You will get it either in essay type or in your short note. So angiospermic parasitic plants. So even not the plant suffers, or crop plants suffer not only by fungal diseases, not only by bacterial diseases, not only by viral diseases, not only by mycoplasmal diseases, not only by the infestation by the pests, but also suffers. Your crop plants also are prone for loss with the infestation by certain other plants. The plants that are seen growing on the host and causing heavy loss to the host are called parasites. Now, generally, whenever I say parasites, the plants do not come to your mind. Even we have, whenever I say plants, you think that all plants are autotrophic. They prepare their own food. But there are n number of plants which are parasitic in nature. They depend on the other plants for their food. So such plants which are incapable of preparing their own food and depend on other plants for their food, for their water, for their minerals and other metabolites are called parasites. So even we have parasitic plants. So parasites, of course, will be your algal parasites are there, your fungal parasites are there. But generally, angiospermic parasites, it doesn't come to your mind. We think that all flowering plants are autotrophic. They prepare all their food. But there are many angiospermic plants which are known to act as parasites and cause heavy loss to the crop plants. Now, these parasitic plants, when a plant could be parasite, if it is a parasite, it doesn't have any leaves, foliage. If foliage
Depends on other plants for their food.
If foliage leaf is there means it can prepare own food. But there are certain parasitic plants such as, this is a common thing you might have heard about cuscuta, golden thread. Cuscuta reflects a member of what we call convolvulaceae member. This is a common thing. It is found, in on bougainvilleas you can see, on gyzotia plants you can see, on many crop plants get infested with this cuscuta. Cuscuta is a stem parasite. See, parasites for our convenience, we divide them into complete parasites and partial parasites. Complete parasite is a parasite. If it is a complete parasite, it doesn't have any leaf. Leaf is absent. If leaf is absent, it cannot prepare its own food. So for water, minerals, for everything, it depends on the host plant. So such plants which are devoid of any leaf are called complete parasites. And the other group is what we call partial parasites. Partial parasites are the parasites, they have leaves, but they depend on host for minerals and water. By sucking, by absorbing minerals and water from the host plant, they prepare their own food using their foliage or the leaves. So they are called partial parasites. So parasites are primarily classified into two categories: complete parasites and partial parasites. This is one classification. And based on the part of the host on which the parasite gets attached, the parasites are also classified as stem parasites and root parasites. Stem parasites and root parasites. So first of all, we discuss about stem parasites. See, stem parasites, one is Cuscuta. I already told you it's a complete stem parasite. It's a complete stem parasite, or otherwise called total stem parasite. And generally, this is called dodder or golden thread. And generally, you find infestation on alfalfa, cloverleaf, bougainvilleas, and gynoecea, even in potato plants. You will see this yellow thread, yellow wine-like structure growing all over the plant body. And if you observe very closely, they send certain finger-like processes into the host plant, and this enters into the phloem and xylem and absorbs its new nourishment from that. And generally, all these parasitic plants, they produce flowers, they produce seeds, fruits and seeds. So through fruits and seeds only, they reproduce and they infest. They make new infestation with the germination, with getting contact with the host plant, and they cause loss by absorbing nutrients. So with the infestation, what happens by when it absorbs, its new nourishment, that is phloem and xylem, etc., the leaves become small. The host leaves become small, and host becomes stunted in growth, and even it flowers and fruits also. The not only the quality but even the quantity also gets affected. So Cuscuta is one, and the partial stem parasite, that is good example is Loranthus. So the Loranthus is one. It is otherwise called mistletoe, and generally this is a common thing you might have seen, especially in case of mango and in citrus, in guava, on neem plants, etc. On roadside plants you might have seen. On one plant you will see other plant growing. Especially they have dark green and leaves, and they have white tubular flowers. So this is caused by Loranthus. It is a stem parasite, a partial stem parasite, because it has its own leaves. It depends on the host for its water and minerals. By using that, it prepares its own food using its foliage, and it reproduces by producing its inflorescence, its flowers and fruits. Then root parasites, root parasites, again, here we have what we call complete root parasite. The other is partial root parasite. The complete root parasite is what we'll call broom rape or Vorabanki. Broom rape or the Vorabanki is one. And generally Vorabanki is seen making a contact with the root system. As it tells you, stem parasites always attach to the stem. Root parasites are make a contact with the host with the root system, through the root system. So here, the Vorabanki, broom rape otherwise, it is known to attack tobacco mostly. Mostly tobacco, even tomato, brinjal, and cauliflower are known to infested by the Vorabanki, because it is a complete root parasite. It is a complete root parasite. It doesn't have any foliage. And leaves are scale-like, brownish scale-like leaves. And from the axil of these brown scale-like leaves, you will see inflorescence coming, flowers coming. These flowers in due course change into fruits. And in the fruits, they will produce hundreds of seeds, very small seeds, and these small seeds easily carried away by the blowing winds. And even certain birds eat their fruits, and when they move to other areas, uh, the undigested ones are released into the fields, and there they germinate. So generally all the parasites, they produce the seeds in large numbers. Why? Because the chances of getting host is very meager. Hence, they produce large numbers, so that thinking that at least one may get contact with the host, suitable host. So, Orabanki, I told you, it causes heavy loss to the tobacco. The tobacco leaves become very small, and they will get shriveled, small one. Not only the quantity, but even the quality also gets affected. The Orabanki infested, the tomatoes, even potatoes, or even the tobaccos get, suffer from, qualitatively and also quantitatively. And the last one is striga. Striga is a partial root parasite. Because it is a partial root parasite, then it has green leaves, and it produces flowers, it produces fruits. Now, generally, the partial root parasite striga is observed in case of what we call sorghum, maize, sugarcane, etc. In most of the monocotyledonous fields, you will see these partial parasite of this striga growing. Uh, and so if you observe very closely what is happening here, the parasites, so the parasites make contact with the host plants, and they send their, because they are not connected to your soil. They don't have any roots, they don't have, but they send certain finger-like process called hastoria. Through the hastoria, they absorb their important requirements. Your what we call phloem. They make contact with the phloem and also xylem. Through xylem, they absorb water and minerals. Through phloem, they absorb the readily available metabolites. So that way, they cause heavy loss. So here, how to check, the checking is to keep your field very free and go for what we call crop rotation. And to check them, what we have to do, weeding has to be done at regular intervals. And the last resort should be going for, checking the menace by spraying certain weedicides, such as what we call 2,4-D can be sprayed, and also butachlor you can spray, and by soil fumigation also. By doing fumigation with methyl bromide, etc., the seeds and the young ones, they germinate, they die. So this is about the phanerogamic or angiospermic parasitic plants. Uh,
Sir,
so, uh, uh,
plant physiology